hope you've all been enjoying the Car Trek series, where Autotempest challenged me and Hoover and Tavares to go out to their website that aggregates all the major search platforms and find the coolest car we could for the price of a C8 Corvette, supposed to be a $60,000 budget. And obviously I chose a Lamborghini Gallardo Spider with a gated manual transmission. What could possibly be better, even though it did have a flood title and it did brake a lot and I did spend a little bit extra on it, but I was super happy with my choice. A couple other things I thought about were trying to find a really high mile F430. It would have taken a lot of miles, but theoretically it could have worked. Also a Lotus Exige 260S. I love driving those cars. I think they're a great investment, and one just sold on Bring a Trailer for 62 grand, like perfect. I also looked at a CLK 63 Black Series, which isn't necessarily mid-engine, but is just an awesome car at that price point. But what I thought would be fun today is to survey a lot of my friends and see what they would buy as the coolest car you could for a $60,000 budget.
And so I'm coming at you from left field with an obscure answer because I think it should be the most focused driving experience possible. And for 60 grand, I am going Ariel Atom 3.5 because there's nothing quite like an Ariel Atom. It's a four-wheeled motorcycle.
That's a tough one because there are actually a lot of great cars in that price range. I would say probably my personal favorite is going to be a CLK 63 Black Series. I think there's 200 or 300 that were produced for the US. They are a German muscle car, so badass. Every time I've owned one or driven one, it puts a smile on my face. A lot of horsepower, they sound incredible, and they don't break.
60 grand to drop in a car right now, it would sound a little something like this. 450 horsepower from a twin-turbo, twin-intercooler, race-proven engine with a 6-speed manual transmission, all-wheel drive, hollow-spoke wheels, 0 to 60 in like 4 seconds, top speed of over 190 miles an hour. Now with those exact specs, I could be talking about the $1 million Porsche 959 or the $60,000 Porsche 911 Turbo from the early 2000s, also known as the 996. Now you want to get one with the X50 performance package, which gave you the 450 horsepower and 457 foot-pounds of torque.
I got a 2015 Aston Martin V12 Vantage S. It is quite possibly my most favorite car, my most favorite shape of anything, really. It has a 2/3 golden ratio. It looks good from any angle. I mean, just take a picture from any angle, and that car looks fantastic.
For $60,000, Porsche 993 C2 is the car that I would get. 993's got great curves. It's modern enough so the AC works well, the radio sounds good, but it still has that old school air-cooled feel that everybody loves.
This was actually a super easy question for me to answer because I actually just did this about 3 or 4 months ago when I bought my 2018 Dodge Challenger Hellcat. One of the best sports car purchases I've ever made. I don't regret it for a second. Fast in a straight line, loud if you decide to modify it, and has that awesome supercharger whine.
If I had $60,000 and I could only have one car to do everything, I would take the RS2 Avant for reasons already given. It is the best all-around do-everything car. But if it was a second car, I would take the Porsche 996 GT3. I don't really love the way it looks, but it is absolutely the best driver's car on the planet for that kind of money.
I think this is a really bold statement, and I hate to be that guy, but honestly, the C8 I think would be my first choice. I love everything modern, so you get all the modern tech, and you get a whole lot of power in a great driver's car for 60 grand. And if you can't choose a C8, I am a diehard for the R35. I loved that car when I owned it, and that right there is the best all-around car.
It's a 2008 Viper. I think it's quick out of the box. It looks fast, has sexy lines, and doesn't carry the stigma that the Corvette does, the old white guys with gold chains and all that kind of thing.
Probably going to have to go with a 70 Chevelle LS6, 454 with a 4-speed. I don't know, maybe a nice Fathom Blue, white stripes, or hell, Cortez Silver. Black vinyl top, bleeding red leather guts on the inside. 60 grand will put you in a very nice one. Might even find a nice drop top in this price range.
For a budget of $60,000, I would go with a 2015 E63S AMG wagon. It checks off all the boxes for me. I've always wanted to build a very fast camera car. It's 577 horsepower, twin turbo V8, all-wheel drive. It'll keep up with a lot of fast cars, plenty of room for a couple extra cameramen.
I have to start off with a Corvette C6 ZR1 6-speed manual, 638 horsepower, and it only weighs about 3,300 pounds. Slap a cam in there, headers, E85, and a pulley, and you're right around 800 horsepower. It's a fantastic deal.
Car for 60 grand, I give you the 65 or 66 Sunbeam Tiger. Why? Well, I love them. They drive great. You get a lot of the experience of a 289 Cobra for a lot less money. Sounds great.
I've been toing and throwing on what the hell I would buy, because that is a weird old question, because you can buy a car that, like a Dodge Charger, that is restored for 60 grand, or you can buy what I've chosen for 60 grand. And I may not get the best one, I may not get the most beautiful one, but I would love a Di Tommaso Pantera. Italian styling with American muscle.
The answer is clearly Porsche Cayman. Now, some people are going to say the 911 Turbo, I'm sure, but it would have to be a 996, so But the Cayman, on the other hand, you got really two great options. You got the 718, probably an S for under 60, or if you prefer, the 981 GTS, which maybe depreciates less too, more unique. That's pretty cool.
Okay, here's my three choices in the $60,000 range. 70 Charger. What more of an American classic than a 1970 Charger, made famous by, in Japan they call it Wild Speed, here Fast and Furious, an awesome, awesome car. Number two, little weird, but for 60 grand, it's not gonna go much lower. There's only up from here, and weird is good nowadays. How about a Ferrari 456 manual transmission car? Weird, kind of ugly, but cool in the same way. Finally, new, modern. What can you buy better than a Mustang GT 350R? It has to be an R, but that is an awesome car. Now it can be bought for 60 grand, maybe a little better if you know how to negotiate like I do.
Under $60,000, the car that I'm going to go with is not a car at all. I have a weird thing for performance SUVs. Yes, they are the most useless cars that manufacturers make, but I like them. In fact, I think because they're so pointless. I'm going to go with the Mercedes-Benz GLE 63S. 2016 model year, can be found fully loaded. And it's perfect for lugging the family and the dog around and doing it with supercar level performance.
The choice is simple. I'd go out and get a mid to late 1990s Viper GTS, just like the blue with white stripes one I've been driving for a very long time. They're super reliable, they look amazing, they're enjoyable to drive, and it's going to be a worthwhile car. Might even have some money left over to go take your significant other on vacation.
There's a slew of incredible sports cars to be had sub $60,000, and my two favorite are sitting right here in my garage. My first and foremost is the first gen Audi R8. Similar to Ed's Gallardo, my R8 has a gated 6-speed manual transmission. What it doesn't have is the 10-cylinder engine. If you get that in the R8, it's basically the same thing as a Gallardo, but the one thing you'll always get in an R8 that you won't get in a Lamborghini is the ability to walk into the Audi dealership and buy parts substantially cheaper than the ones that come on its Lamborghini cousin. The second, the Shelby GT350R. These are cars that have come down right under the $60,000 mark. It's got a set of carbon fiber wheels and a flat plane crank engine that feels way more like a Ferrari than a Ford. And any Ferrari in this car's price range is gonna have a well expired warranty, whereas this one, if anything happens, I just drive it to the dealership.
I'm going 3 years old, and I've got to travel 9,670 miles away from Indianapolis, Indiana, to pick myself up a 2017 Holden Maloo GTS-R. Now this vehicle is a 6.2 liter LSA with well over 500 horsepower. I know I can pick one up for the price of a brand new Corvette.
I'm going to go with my favorite version of the Corvette, the Z06 Carbon Edition from 2011. Main reasons I like it, it's incredibly rare. There are only 252 of them. It's got the 7-liter V8, incredible 15-inch carbon fiber brakes, magnetic shocks shared with Ferrari with selectable modes, and massive grip. It just gives me the full confidence to explore the full limits of its performance.
My choice for a $60,000 car would either be a 996 GT3 or an Aston Martin DB9 with a 6-speed manual. The GT3 just has an incredible driving experience. The steering feel and just the way that the engine revs all the way up to 8,200 RPMs and just is kind of manic in doing it. The DB9, pretty much opposite, is drop dead gorgeous. Great pull from the V12, the torque there, great shifter, and it just sounds absolutely ferocious.
I'd have to say the most performance for
for that kind of money would be an R35 GTR. Now, if you're looking for something a little more exotic, maybe an Audi R8 V8, but I think the best performance vehicle for $60,000 is definitely an E63 AMG, like my silver passenger car.
If I'm dropping 60 grand on one car, it's gonna be a 456 GT. Now, you're probably wondering, why? It's just some obscure Ferrari GT car from the mid-90s. Huh, hold up. Let's go down the list, shall we? Ferrari, check. Front engine V12, check. Gated, 6-speed manual transmission, check. Pop-up freaking headlights, check.
My choice is the Bavarian Beast, the E39, 2003 BMW M5. It was the fastest sedan on the planet. This car not only gives you style and comfort, but it gives you a heck of a lot of fun.
My favorite car under $60,000 would actually not be any of these, because obviously these are way more than $6,000, but it is actually this car. It is the Bentley GT Super Sports. Now, I think it's one of the best values at 60 grand. Let me basically tell you why. This was once a $300,000 car, which means that now you can buy one with very low miles for basically 20 cents on the dollar. It's not only fantastic, but in addition to being fantastic as an actual car, it actually not only has a lot of power, but in addition to that, it has Bugatti Veyron seats that are carbon fiber, something a lot of people don't actually know about the Bentley Super Sports.
My nomination for three sports cars for under $60,000 are the 2020 M2 Competition, 2018 or 2019 RS3, and an older generation GTR.
Best value you're gonna get, hands down, Corvette ZR1. I don't think you're gonna get a better, more reliable performance car with the better bang for the buck than that.
You'd think me, being the Toyota guy, would just immediately jump on the Toyota Supra or Lexus RCF. I don't fit well in them. Scrolling through Autotempest, I did find a beautiful 2018 Summit White Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 1LE Track Edition vehicle with low miles, with actually $5,000 to spare for tires.
For $60,000, I think I'd get just the base model C8 Corvette. Everyone says you need one of the more expensive upgraded packages, and I just don't think that's true. You know, you're going to get the same engine, the same chassis as in all the other ones, and the car is going to be way, way better than you are anyway. And if you get that good, which most of us won't, the aftermarket's going to be there to help you upgrade it in all kinds of ways.
Lil Model Paige, what's yours?
R8, you're never late.
Never late in an R8? Well, I think an R8 is pretty cool, but I would pick a TVR Tuscan. They're a really cool, rare car. You don't see them much in North America, and I'm from Canada, so we can import them.
I would buy an Aston Martin Virage 2012 model year. These started at over $210,000 sticker. 18 months, 1,000 were made, and we have maybe half of those in the United States. What's not to love? You're getting carbon brakes, you're Bang & Olufsen, and naturally aspirated V12 and rear-wheel drive. And the best part is, it doesn't have a funky, dual clutch, hydraulic clutch transmission. It's a simple ZF box that blips on downshift and is very, very comfortable to drive.
Ultimate car, $60,000 US, which is about 92,000 Canadian. Thank you, exchange rate. I would get an older G63, much like mine behind me right now. I would get like a 2013 high mileage. What? Oh, it has to be a sports car? I mean, the G63 has 560-ish horsepower. It's basically a sports car. No? Okay. Well, luckily, I prepared for this. We are in Canada, dressed in layers. I would get a 2008-2009 gated V8 R8. There's room left in the budget for a supercharger and a stiffer suspension. Now, if you're crazy, you could find like an older McLaren, but only a complete moron would spend money on an old McLaren. It would be an absolute nightmare.
Clearly, I made the perfect choice with my Ferrari 360 Spider, but if I didn't get that, I probably would have done, well, something familiar like a Porsche 996 Turbo, but been there, done that. Same with a edgy McLaren MP4 12C. Didn't want to trigger my PTSD with another crappy McLaren. But also, maybe would have gone out of left field with a BMW i8 or maybe a Noble.
All right, guys, step into my office. This is going to be the quietest place to chat with you because I have 3 kids, my wife, everybody's home, so I'm gonna sneak. And you guys all know you've all snuck into your garage. to kind of get away from the family from time to time. So right now in Canada, which is where I live, because our dollar is so low, if you converted the Canadian dollar value to USD, I could buy an early MP4 12C McLaren for about $60,000. And I don't think there's a better car. In fact, we have one in our fleet. It's got the billionaire doors here in the F12. This car's got the boring doors. You got a twin turbo V8 that you can tune and put some downpipes on. We've gotten close to putting 800 horsepower down in our car. You also have the hydraulic suspension that's fully adjustable. You have the active aero, you have the air brake. I just don't think you can beat that for $60,000.
Thank you all. Those were some amazing suggestions. If you liked this concept and you want to see more of these, maybe at different price points, please let us know in the comments. Please subscribe for more if you do. And if you think we've missed something, or if you just really liked one of those options, please comment below and let us know what you thought. This month's car stories and this video are sponsored by Premier Financial Services. Premier offers great leasing programs for vintage and exotic cars that make it easier than ever to own the car of your dreams. I've used them in the past. I love the team and everything that they stand for in the industry, and they're great people to deal with. And right now, we're kind of in a very interesting economic time, because what we are going to see is probably a lot of these cars that have been sort of irrationally inflated over the last few years dip pretty hard, and probably a little bit more than they're going to need to. That's what happens anytime there's a recession. And these cars aren't necessarily going to follow the stock market down or anything like that, but they will go down a little bit. So what Premier is recommending to guys like me is that we go out there and try to get pre-approved for as much as we possibly can, and that allows us to go out and make some maybe insulting offers as cars sit in dealer inventory or as private sellers make them available. And so who knows, maybe the ultra high mile bad Carfax Bugatti Veyron's going to pop up. I hope so, but I hope your dream car does as well, and when you do, I hope Premier has you ready to move quickly.